Hello, Chasers. Welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. Yeah, I'm sat here on my own, but don't worry. Giani is on the way. He is coming, I promise. He's running about 5-10 minutes late. So I'm going to crack on with the start of the show. And then G will be joining us very soon. Thanks to those of you already joining us. Yep, it's early morning in America. And Tiffany says, goodness, a Chasers 7 a.m. wake up call after Thanksgiving here in the US. Good morning, guys. Yeah, hope you all had a great Thanksgiving, and we're thankful obviously to all of you for keep jumping back every single show to join our content, be part of this community. So thanks all for doing that. Lard was first in the chat. Hello, Lard. Thanks to everyone that's just jumping in. Let's see how many of you there are already. Yep, numbers starting to come in. 30 of you jumping in. We'll wait a minute before we get started so that everybody can join the show before we get into anything too deep. Obviously, been waiting for the end of the international break. It's here. I'm very excited. No international football now until March. That's great news. That's great news. So we can get stuck into what's going on here. Everybody now jumping on the Thanksgiving bandwagon. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to all of you, and I hope you've had a good one. Bill says it's G over on his other channel. I don't actually know, to be honest with you. I'm not sure why he's running late. He just messaged us 5 minutes ago and said he'll be here at 10 past. So we'll wait for that. Hope you're all prepared for this game week. I was just thinking about the fact that this season has been really weird because I think you could have got by without actually thinking about this season too deeply. A friend of mine, I was just telling our producer, doesn't watch any FPL content. He doesn't think about it too deeply. He just picks his team once a week, logs into the app, makes his transfer, and off he goes. He's currently ranked at 40,000. There's something to be said for that. But I don't want you lot to do it because I need you to hang around because we're going through this together. But it does make me wonder, like, is this just a weird season whereby too much luck is involved? Because I can't figure out why I'm not doing well. I'm thinking a lot about my decisions week by week, and I'm down. I don't know. I'll have a look in a minute. My rank's like 1 million and something, and I really need something good to happen. Lard reckons that G is doing his hair. Definitely a good chance that could be happening. Maybe having a game of pool on that table that we always see in the background. Ryan says, good morning from Calgary, Canada. Good morning to you, Ryan. Girl says, where is the fake Italian Giani? G's on his way, mate. Don't worry. He'll be here. He'll be here very soon. FPL Freddy says, how many flags, Dean? The only flag actually showing up on my team at the moment is on Erling Haaland, and I don't expect that to be a problem. Erling Haaland will play against Liverpool, so I'm okay on that front. But don't forget, I did wildcard the week before we came into the international break, so I've kind of got that going for me right now. I don't love my team. I don't love my team. We'll get into that in a bit. Jamie says, G's feeding a squirrel on his ledge. There's a good chance of that as well. Afternoon to you, FPL Rowie. What we're going to do first, I think, we'll get stuck into some injury news and some updates from the international break. And probably during the process of going through all that, G will end up jumping on the chat and then we can get properly stuck into the show. So I'll get into there. Keep your questions coming in. And yeah, let's see what happens. Tiffany, I'm just reading your message. 6 flags. 6 flags. Really hoping Bowen is fit. I think you'll be all right, Tiffany. I think you'll be all right on Jarrod Bowen. Spoke to someone yesterday at West Ham to try and get an update on their situation, who might play up front. And but Jarrod Bowen seems okay at the moment. And the noises are that it really was just to protect him that he was pulled out of the England squad. There was a problem there. I think it was fluid on the knee. But they think he's going to be okay. And obviously, from a West Ham point of view, really important they have Jarrod Bowen, especially away from home, because he's so reliable. That is something I know a lot of you will be looking out for. But I think Jarrod Bowen will be playing. FPRO says, I'm thinking of rolling if Bowen is okay. Yeah, honestly, I think he'll be okay. Let's see what comes out over the course of today. Jodie's in Cape Town. Hello, Jodie. Just for those of you joining, Giani is joining us very soon. So don't worry, you haven't just got an hour of me. We're going to have a proper CGA loving still to come, and G will be explaining why he was late. I'm just going to run through a little bit of team news while we wait for him. I'll start with Arsenal, just to pick up on where we are there. Obviously, Aaron Ramsdale is actually getting a chance to go in goal this weekend. David Raya cannot play against Brentford, so Aaron Ramsdale is going to be playing. I'll be honest, I think this is just a one-off. Like, even if he has a worldie, I'll be amazed if he keeps his spot. And if he doesn't keep his spot, Aaron Ramsdale has to consider leaving in January. That'll be really interesting. Elsewhere, Gabby Jesus is available for selection in terms of fitness. They just have to make sure that he's recovered from his journey back from Brazil. But word is out of Arsenal that Gabby Jesus probably will play this weekend. They're waiting to discover whether Ben White has recovered from a muscle injury. So it sounds a bit touch and go on Ben White. And as for Martin Odegaard, don't think he's going to be playing. Managing a hip injury, Ben White, and he might feature. I don't think he will start. So that's the news really around Arsenal right now. I've got Martinelli in my team. Look, I'm looking at the stats around Arsenal this season. And even though they're having a good season, I don't think any of their forward players are must-haves at the moment. Let me know what you guys think. But I think we can afford to go without Saka, without Martinelli, without Jesus. Like, I think we can afford to go without any of them at the moment. We'll see. Dom says Gabby Jesus will be big in terms of unlocking that Brentford defence. And that might well be true. But, Dom, let me know this. Do you think that means that he's just taking players out of position, or is Gabby Jesus actually scoring the goals? Because from an FPL perspective, I'm not sure I trust him to actually deliver points, even if he does move players out around. That opens up spaces for Arsenal to actually beat Brentford. So let me know what you think on that one. But I definitely think that there's potential here that we can move away from Arsenal. I was watching a video, FPL Harry, I think it was, does some great content. And he was saying that Saka's no longer a must-have because of the underlying stats around Arsenal. And that fits with what we've been saying recently on here too. Arsenal assets, really interesting in terms of whether we actually need them right now, even though they are playing well. Tiffany says, I chose not to go with any Arsenal, but have been hiding behind the sofa. And I totally get it. The thing is, they're not really dishing out hidings. They don't have a reliable source of points at the moment. I think that's where all of it comes from. Danny B gives us all a big wave. Hello, Danny. G will be along soon if you're wondering where he is. He will be coming to join us. Don't worry about that. It's not just me. Tachion asks about Martinelli. I think I'm going to leave Martinelli on the bench this week. And if I'm leaving Martinelli on the bench, it makes me wonder why I've even got him in my squad. Shouldn't be wasting money on somebody like that to have on the bench, so I need to be thinking about that. Sokan says Odegaard and Gabby are key players for Arsenal. They bring Martinelli and Saka on song. And Dom says, I think it could help out Arsenal's wingers, but Gabby as an asset himself isn't great. And that's exactly my point, Dom. I don't know where we go in that Arsenal front line to actually secure points. FPL Rowie says, don't you feel like Saka can easily have a haul of a 15 points? Of course, that potential is always there for Saka, but it's not always fulfilled. And that's what worries me quite a lot about Arsenal. Heather's just joined us. Hello, Heather. Good to have you in the chat. Bill says, Dean, don't sell yourself short. Don't worry. I'm okay. But yeah, so that's the early Arsenal team news. Just to run that onto Liverpool. Look, Darwin Núñez is somebody we cannot avoid. I have battered him, haven't I? I've absolutely battered Darwin Núñez last season. And I don't do it anymore because Darwin Núñez is a very good footballer and a very good asset. And he's coming back from Uruguay international duty in a great frame of mind. Now, obviously, they're playing against Manchester City. I'm not expecting massive things from Liverpool in this game week in terms of Darwin delivering a hat-trick or anything like that. But when we're looking at forward assets going forward, I do think that Darwin has potential. Robbie says he's a Liverpool fan, doesn't think Darwin starts this week. I'm not so sure. Honestly, I'm not so sure. I think it's difficult to overlook the form that Darwin is in at the moment going into a fixture like this. He's already back in training. He's at the training ground. If he's had a solid two and a half days of recovery and getting over that journey, then I think he might play. I know he doesn't. I know that Klopp doesn't usually risk players on the back of journeys like that, but this might be a different case. It might be a different case. The other news around Liverpool right now, Alisson, Luis Diaz, Alexis McAllister also back from being in South America. Luis Diaz obviously having quite an emotional time over in Colombia, but also scored 2 goals as they saw off Brazil. He was unbelievable in that fixture as well. Don't forget, Liverpool have flown his family over for Christmas, I believe. I think they're here for like a month. Luis Diaz is going to deliver points in the coming weeks, and we just got to figure out where exactly they are going to come. Gucci reckons that Darwin Núñez starts, just like I think that. And Dom agrees, in too good a form at the moment to not be starting. This is it. Liverpool need players in form, especially if they're going to win a match like this. And let's consider too, like, even if Darwin doesn't start that game, if it's his tight margins, like, he's coming on in this match and he can make the difference. This is going to be really interesting to see what Liverpool can get out of the fixture. Aston Villa, Bozzy's joined us. He says, sorry, I'm late to the party. Hope everyone's well. You're going solo, Dean. What a man. I'm not going solo, mate. Well, G had promised me he would turn up by 10 past, actually. So maybe I am going solo because it's 13 minutes past now and there's no sign of him. We'll be getting some overtime off Giani at the back end of the show at this rate. Don't worry, though. He does promise he's turning up. I'll just check my messages, shall I, to see if there's any word from him. No, there's not. There's no word from Gianni. Anyway, let's move on. We've still got plenty to get through. Keep your messages coming in too about what you're expecting. We've addressed Arsenal early on there in terms of what we think we get from them. Liverpool is tricky. It's tricky to know what we can expect for them in the Manchester City game, but it's also difficult to know in terms of the rotation of the front line who he's going to be playing. But I have a hunch that Darwin Núñez will start that match. It's only a hunch. I haven't got any actual insight on it. But given what I've seen over the international break, and if you've seen it too, Darwin Núñez in such good form, now playing for Marcelo Bielsa on the international stage, he is loving it. He's got the two perfect managers at the moment, Darwin Núñez, to help guide the stage of his career. It's going to be really, really good for him. Man United, they've got doubts over Rasmus Højlund. I don't think many of us have got him as an asset at the moment. He's expected to be out. So is Christian Eriksen. Everton host Man United on Sunday. Upset watch. I am almost convinced that Everton win this match. I think that for Erik ten Hag, this is a terrible fixture. This has come at a terrible moment for him. United, we already know how mentally fragile they can be. We already know that when they win games, it's narrowly by one goal. And they're playing an Everton team here who've actually been playing pretty well. They won 3-2 at Crystal Palace last time out. And now we're going into a match where they've been hit with a 10-point deduction. And, oh, look at this.
Hello. How are we? How are you, mate?
I'm okay, mate. People thought you were doing your hair. Maybe they're right, seeing as you've thrown a cap on and you couldn't get it right.
I mean, yeah, what says I've been rushing around and haven't even looked in the mirror this morning more than my appearance today? Full beard and hat on with, it doesn't really go with this jumper, but, I'm going for the look today.
Yeah, you've got a new style there. Yeah, the people were split over. Is he doing his hair? Is he feeding a squirrel on his ledge? Is he doing content on his own channel? But yeah, in the meantime, mate, we've been running for a bit of team news. I've been talking about Arsenal assets and how I don't think we actually need to be committed to any Arsenal forwards at the moment. I've been talking about how I think Darwin Núñez will start.
Oh, nice one, do you? Yeah, he trained, didn't he?
He trained, and I think his form is unavoidable.
I think I'm with you on that. This will be this will buck the trend with Klopp and him and Darwin for the early kickoff. But I think you're right. He's got to, isn't he?
I think he has, mate. And I just think it would be silly. And at the very least, I think we get a good outing from him. And I was just about to move on to talk about Man United and how I think they're going to lose at Everton because of this. I just think it's a terrible moment for Erik ten Hag to be taking his team there. I know Højlund hasn't scored a Premier League goal, but he has actually looked reasonably threatening. And to take him out the equation, there's no Christian Eriksen. Luke Shaw potentially coming back into the picture now. It's helpful, but the rhythm of this team is not good. I think I was talking about here the other day about how much Marcus Rashford, now unconvincing he was. I just think it's a terrible time, and that Everton will just be galvanised for this fixture. They'll get something out of it. It's a draw or a win, and I just think steer clear of Man United assets.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. United have been finding ways to win games recently. And when you look at the form, it actually looks like they've been playing quite well. And you're like, oh, if you just look at the results, you go, oh, United have been doing quite well. But if you've watched those games, you're like, how did they win that match? How did they get a point there? How did they get 3 points there? They've been finding ways, but I can't see that lasting. And I don't think that's sustainable. And yeah, I'm with you. I think Everton are probably at Goodison. Yeah, maybe they won't be favourites with the bookies, but maybe in my head too, they're also more likely to win the United.
Yeah, I mean, if there's an asset to be backing, I'll probably go like Scott McTominay or something like that. Yeah. That's probably where this is going if Man United are going to get something out of the game. Milan asks, when are the press conferences? They're kind of underway today. We're still going to be waiting for a lot of team news today, but there is stuff starting to roll in now. So I'll keep an eye on it across the course of this hour just to see if there's anything significant to report. But yeah,
I did see Eddie Howe has spoken this morning, and he mentioned that he was really coy on Wilson, although that was reported at 6 weeks out. He was really coy on Botman. He did say Trippier's fine and trained, so that's good for Trippier owners. But as always, he didn't give much away at all. So no. I think he said Longstaff will be assessed. Almiron worked really well since they're not, and Cher is not injured.
Yeah, so Cher not injured. Lewis Hall obviously can't play because he's a Chelsea player, so that takes another.
Shame Livramento can.
Yeah, Livramento can, so you'd imagine he will. And what did he say on Isak? He said it was unclear, but potential that he's close. Newcastle are probably going to sign another forward in January because this Wilson Isak thing they think is going to flare up again like that, and they can't leave themselves short for the second half of the season. I think basically what we do know is that Anthony Gordon is going to be their best, their most likely source of goals in this game. He's in really good form, and I think if they turn to anyone, it's going to be Anthony Gordon in a match like this.
Yeah, I think you're right. And he's the guy that we look at over the festive period and go, at least he's nailed for minutes. He's not had injuries like Almiron or Harvey Barnes or Wilson or Isak. And he's like 5.6, 7 or 8. Like, he's really cheap. So still a very good FPL asset. I can see loads in the chat today. Hello, Gucci. Hello, FPL Freddy. Nicholas and Tiffany are with us. Aston Villa Bozzy. It's good to see loads of our chasers still with us nice and early on a Friday. I guess a lot of them have got huge interest in the next hour with press conferences. I look forward to hearing from De Zerbi about Matoma because he did train yesterday, but we don't know how much he did.
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting one. And De Zerbi is one of those managers we know he'll tell us. He'll be like, he won't beat around the bush like Eddie Howe. If Matoma's ready to play in the matchday squad, he'll pretty much tell us.
Absolutely. Nice. Yeah. FPL Focus just jumped in, ready to rock for game week 13. Solanke is in for me. What do you think of Solanke?
Oh, he's got really good fixtures, which is why everyone's going there. And also this season at Bournemouth, like Solanke is the out-and-out number 9. And if you remember, under Gary O'Neill, that wasn't always the case. He was often playing 2 up front and Solanke was sort of like a second striker. And also wasn't necessarily always nailed for 90 minutes. But this Solanke in this team, he's a reliable source for minutes. He's been scoring goals and the fixtures... Well, they read really well. The problem with Solanke is he's 6.5 million. Like, historically, we've paid a lot less for a Bournemouth attacker. Or for Solanke. We can get Chris Wood at 4.9 million. So if you are looking for a third striker and you want a punt, Solanke's the better shout. But if money's an issue, Chris Wood at 4.9 versus Solanke at 6.5, I think in terms of value, Chris Wood could be the better option. I'm just reluctant spending so much on a Bournemouth attacker, but he has got Sheffield United, Villa, Palace up next, and then he's got United, Luton, Forest, Fulham. Like, it's a really good run. So yeah, I like Solanke a lot.
Yeah, I have to say, like, obviously I've got Haaland as my main striker, and then I've got Alvarez and Watkins as my other 2 strikers. Like, Alvarez versus Watkins versus Solanke. Honestly, I think to not have Solanke, I'm a bit concerned that I'm not on the right horse here. Like, I feel like the 3 that I've got, I feel like Solanke is the 4th option that I should be considering bringing in. I might.
There will be Alvarez owners that make the switch because it's similar money, isn't it?
It's similar money, and the Alvarez one is probably the most. I saw someone talk about it a minute ago. Actually, they were contemplating switching Alvarez for him. Just a quick one. Mark says, "Is Raya 100% not playing? Can Arsenal not ask for permission?" No. that's done.
Arteta actually said Ramsdale's going to start, which is really unlike Arteta, but yeah, just showing
he
that
literally can't.
Ramsdale's number 2.
Yeah, I mean, if Ramsdale wasn't starting this game, then it would be like it would be so offensive because Raya literally not allowed to play in this fixture. So if you definitely don't put David Raya in your team this week.
He also said, Arteta, we literally have the two managers you can't take any trust from is Howe and Arteta, and they're the only two that speak, or they're two of a few that speak early on a Friday. Mm-hmm. So Arteta did say Odegaard's been progressing well, and he did say Ben White is able. Would play if he was able to train today. So we don't know if he trains today. And he did say Jesus is available. So that's kind of, I guess, the Arsenal headlines. But I was just looking at the Chris Wood fixtures, mate. If you're looking at Solanke versus Chris Wood, where do you sit on that? Because Chris Wood is not a nailed asset at all. But we know Forest like to play with an out-and-out number 9 because he could go and play a Langer there, for example, knowing Awani's out for a couple of months. So with no Awani, usually we see Chris Wood come in. Yeah. If Chris Wood does start, and bearing in mind, this is a guy that's had a couple of starts all season. I think he started in game week 8 and 9, and that's it. He's 0.6% owned. He's 4.9 million. We know Forest are really good at home. Their next 6 fixtures, 4 of them are at home. Brighton and Everton. Then they go away to Fulham and Wolves, and then they're at home to Spurs and Bournemouth. It's a good run of 6 games if Chris Wood was a nailed asset. That's the million-dollar question, though. Does he come in and start as the number 9, or do Forest go a little bit more creative, like Gibbs White as a false 9, Elanga as a 9? Like they still have options away from going, let's stick the lump of Chris Wood up top. I didn't realise they actually own Divock Origi as well. I don't know where he's been. I think he got 1 minute last time out, but could Origi get minutes?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Chris Wood, he scored twice against Luton at home, didn't he?
Yeah, he did,
So that was his last, the last time he had an outing at home, and he scored both goals. I think he played, he played 90 in that game as well. So he's only had 2 starts all season, Chris Wood, but one of the 2 times that he has started, he did score both of Forest goals. So at that amount, he's definitely got potential. It's a difficult one to turn to and expect too much. FPL Focus says I like him as a player, but don't like Forest having such a big squad. And that is a massive problem. Like Forest, it's almost impossible to predict their starting 11. They've got such depth. They've got so many players, so many different ways of playing. Getz reckons that Wood is above Origi in the pecking order. And I probably agree on that. But Havok Origi, always a good backup option because he does cause havoc. Tiffany says, should I keep Watkins? Got Haaland. I've got Darwin, but Solanke's calling me.
Ooh, yeah.
The same dilemma.
What do we do with Aston Villa? I mean, we've got some stats to show you around, which include Watkins, I think around attackers. So let's just show how good Watkins has been. And obviously we'll compare a few other options in the game. The good thing about Watkins over the festive period is he's going to play every game. You don't have to worry when there's 3 games in 6 days. You don't have to worry about 90 minutes. Like this was a discussion we had in the week with Son. But we looked at all the attackers in the game here. This is filtered by XG, the non-pen XG. This is midfielders and forwards, right? This is the best attacking options. Now, non-pen XG so far, Haaland comes in. I think this was from game week 4 or 5 onwards. So this was from when Son was playing number 9. But look how good Haaland's been. Look how good Watkins has been up there. Higher or the same as Salah. No, higher than Salah in terms of non-pen XG. So I struggle to sell Watkins knowing the chances fall his way. We all know he doesn't get great conversion rates, Ollie Watkins. He's missed more big chances than any other player, I think, this season. And Villa fixtures are tough. I think they've got Man City and Arsenal at home coming up. But they are good at home. I think I'll probably ride the wave. The only person I think I'd sell Watkins for would be if I want to flirt with Darwin short term. Yeah. But I'm with you, Dean. I think he starts this weekend, but then it's 3 games in 6 days from game week 14 onwards. And I'm he'll start 2 of them. And maybe that's enough. Maybe starting 2 and getting 30 minutes in the third is okay because the fixtures are there. So if Darwin looks really good against Man City, I might make that punt, that switch. But for the time being, I plan to keep Watkins.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, and sometimes we overthink these things, and you sometimes just better sticking with familiarity and just hoping that over the course of sticking with a player that they do deliver points. I mean, honestly, I think that if you would have just picked a team at the start of this season and stuck with it, like barring like them being injured or suspended, I honestly don't think, certainly from my point of view and how my season is going, I don't think I'd be that much. I don't think I'd be worse off actually. Like
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot to be said for this season particularly, sticking by players that you genuinely believe will return over a period of time. As I said many times before, like I was on Watkins, I believed in him,
Yeah.
went through a spell of not scoring, got rid of him. That's when his goals came in that period after. You just don't know when they're going to come, so you might as well just stick with them.
Yeah, yeah. Aston Villa Bossy is always good for info on Aston Villa. He says, I know I'm biased, and Aston Villa Bossy, you are certainly very biased. But we wouldn't change you. We wouldn't change
No.
you. I am when I talk Chelsea too. I'm sure Dean is with Fulham. But I really think we could get a lot of goals versus Spurs, not just one or two. Aston Villa Bossy is going for a lot of goals versus Spurs with their injuries and suspensions. And they do. Like, they are, Van der Ven's a massive miss. Wolves battered them. And I don't know if Wolves did. It was 1-0 Spurs till the last 5 minutes of the game, wasn't
This
it?
is the
And then
thing.
Wolves got 2 late goals. That's all about game state, that result. That very easily could have been a 1-0 away win, and we'd all be going, Spurs, what injuries and suspensions? Look how good they played against Wolves.
Yeah. And it was a game that was played early on the Saturday. Like, I know that I've seen a few Spurs fans making the argument, what if that game had been played the Sunday afternoon? Would we have tired as much? Like, we just had a game on the Monday night whereby so much was exerted, and then we had to go back into this fixture, the first game of the weekend on the Saturday afternoon with this new lineup. And is it a coincidence that we lose that game in injury time because our legs have gone? Like, who knows? Like, it's not a bad point to make, to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't know about, look, Aston Villa have a lot of goals in them. Like, that's one thing we know. The game's at Villa, right?
No, it's at Tottenham Stadium, I think.
Oh, it's at Tottenham. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, of course it is. So, there's not going to get a lot of goals at Tottenham Stadium.
No, I don't think so.
You're not.
Spurs don't concede many at home. I know they just conceded 4 to Chelsea. That was 9 men.
No. And, like, I understand, like, well, they play a high line. Aston Villa have got a lot of pace. They'll be good at exploiting that. But Tottenham are a really, really good team that are very well drilled. And I really don't think we're going to see a massive fall off from them. Like, in terms of the last 2 results that they've lost, fine margins and fine reasons as to why they've lost those games. The actual performance levels haven't dropped off much.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Aston Villa Bozzy says we won their 2-0 last season. Did you? I thought Son got 2 hauls last season against Aston Villa. Just check that out. Maybe it was the season before that, but Son is a good captaincy option. I think we've got a comment in the chat from Multi Levi saying, since Man City Liverpool is the first game, clearly doesn't like putting the armband on the first game. It's going to go Son captain. I've said all week I'm really torn on this. I am now veering more towards Haaland, and I thought I would as the week went on. I just think, whilst Dean's right, like Spurs are a good team, and I don't think they'll concede many. I completely agree with you there. I guess I have a few trust issues with Son, though, and I've given him the armband a couple of times this season. Spurs versus Luton, Spurs versus Sheffield United, he's not delivered. And then I take Maddison out of the team and go, oh, without Maddison... just the supply to Son. I think, Aston Villa Bozzy said 2-1 at home, and we did the double over them both under Emery. Okay, if you could let us know the last 2 results in the Premier League, that'd be good, because I might maybe misinformed, but I definitely said on an earlier stream that Son hauled twice versus Aston Villa last season. I may have got that wrong, but I don't think so. Where are you at with captaincy, Dean? And then let's talk about some of these Matoma replacements on screen as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sticking with Haaland. Law of averages, the chance of him being a differential again, like it paid off. Last time out, obviously, when he got the 2 goals against Chelsea. So I just don't want to come away from him. If you think of his last big matches, Man United, Chelsea, like, he does well.
League of his own, isn't he? Even when you look at the numbers, like, these are the best attackers in the game. Non-pen expected goal involvement. Haaland is in a league, in a category of his own. And when you look at the bookies odds for scorers this weekend, like anytime goal scorer odds, Son's like 40, 50%. Haaland's like 60, 70%. Like Haaland is just backed for a reason by the bookies because statistically he is a monster in this game.
Yeah, exactly. And look, there's a reason we're paying £14 million for Haaland. It's because he's supposed to be the best player in the game. And if he's the best player in the game, then surely you captain him because he's got the best chance of a big points return. And you're like, well, he's playing against Liverpool. And like, yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting Man City to go and win like 5-0 and Haaland bags a hat-trick. But I very much think that Haaland can score 2 goals in this game.
Yeah.
And that's why I'll continue to back him.
Yeah.
I just think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, it could be a really high scoring one, this as well. Like it could be a 3-2 win, Man City. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see goals in this fixture. Just when we look at Mbeumo replacements, this chart shows, I think, the thing that pops here, Mbeumo is putting up ridiculous numbers. If you don't own him this week, that's completely cool. Like he plays Arsenal. It's at Brentford, but he plays Arsenal, the top 2 defence in the league. But from next week onwards, I promise you, you're all going to look at it and go, he's got Luton and then 3 or 4 unbelievable fixtures. You're going to want him in your team. So start to think about when you make your transfer this week, how you're preparing your team to be able to make a transfer of Mbeumo in next week. So my move next week is going to be Diaby out and Mbeumo in. I'm not going there this week because I simply can't afford him in one move. I've got Matoma. There's about a 0.3 price difference. Mbeumo will go up in price tonight if he didn't already last night. I haven't checked, but he'll go up twice this game week. But the numbers there, bearing in mind he is actually on penalties, and this is non-penalty data we're looking at in the final column. He's matching Salah, and he scored 3 pens on top of that. Like his numbers are better than forwards that have been doing really well this season, like Watkins and Jackson. His numbers are better than Son, although Son is a much better finisher, which is why Son doesn't need high XG. And Mbeumo does, and he does underperform his XG quite often. But Brentford are a team that produce big chances, and the big chances fall to this guy. So, I definitely want him next week.
I think I'm going to transfer. I don't know if I'm going to do it this week, but transfer out Martinelli and bring in Mbeumo.
Yeah, I really don't mind that. It's tough because Martinelli's
really
a fun pick, but Arsenal haven't clicked, have they?
They haven't clicked, and he just hasn't delivered points. Like I'm just not. It's been the last 4 game weeks: 2, 2, 3, 2. And he got a 6 before that. When you look at 0-0, what there hasn't been the consistency from Martinelli this season. Yeah, obviously the zeros, he's got injuries, but it's just not enough for a player that's 7.8 million. And I'm picking him because I haven't got Saka, I haven't got Jesus.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, well, it's supposed to make up for that, that asset in the Arsenal attack, who are a good team who should be competing for the title, but that's not turning into points or goals. So like, what's the point? I might as well go to Brentford's best player and have him instead. So I think I might look. Maybe I should do it this week. Maybe I should be back in Mbeumo in a fixture against Arsenal. Maybe
they've caused Arsenal problems in the past, haven't they, Brentford?
Yeah,
I'm sure they have. Like I feel like Brentford always step up against the big teams.
Yeah, I mean, look, your hunch on Spurs Villa was wrong, but I've got a feeling that Brentford. I've got a feeling too that Brentford did well against Arsenal last season, but I can't check that right now. But yeah, let's. That is something I'm going to weigh up. I haven't made any transfers so far this week. I don't even know that I need to because at the moment I've got a midfield that I think works.
Okay.
But I can't have Martinelli on my bench because that is a complete waste of time. Like that's just stupid. So yeah, we'll look at our team, I'm sure, in a minute. But that is something that I need to address.
Yeah, we'll show both our teams and the Chaser team. You guys will be voting en masse for your captaincy for the Chaser team and for any transfers as well. I can't remember if we've got 1 or 2 transfers. We'll let you know, and we'll let you know how much money in the bank we've got as well. Before we move to that, there will be some press conference news in the next 25 minutes. We will keep you up to date with that. We're keen to know more about Matty Cash. He's been flagged, but I think he's fine. A few local reporters have suggested that it was just precautionary as to missing out for Poland. We want to know about who else do we want to know? Matoma's a big one. Cash is a big one. Jared Bowen's a big one. I don't think Moyes has spoken yet, but I know that it's been heavily rumoured that he'll be or could be out this weekend. And Dean, you mentioned about him having fluid on the knee, but we just don't quite know a timeline on that yet, do we?
Yeah, no. I mean, I said must be before you came on that Jared Bowen, I think will be okay. Like people around West Ham think he'll be okay. But I don't know. I'm not a doctor and I don't speak to the actual medical staff. I just speak to people that speak to these people. So there's a hope and a feeling that it'll be okay. I saw one account as well say that there's a good West Ham account say that Jeroboam was driving into the training ground, and it was like, okay, well, if his knee was dodgy, he wouldn't be driving a car. So
automatic.
maybe he would.
2 free transfers on our chaser team and 0.5 in the bank. Or our first poll question on the chaser team is going to be, do we use our transfers to get Haaland back in? But we'll ask that question when we get to it. We might need a bit of time on that. So should we move on to our teams now, Dean?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let's see who we got playing this weekend. It's team selection time for me, Dean, and for you guys, the chasers.
Yeah, so here's my midfield that I was talking about. At the moment, I'm opting for Palmer ahead of Martinelli, partly because Newcastle decimate for numbers and we don't really know what we're getting, partly because he's on pens, partly because he's Chelsea's best player. But I just feel like he's a bigger threat for this game week than Martinelli is. But as I say, like, that makes me wonder why have I got Martinelli as a 7.7 substitute is ridiculous. So maybe I need to look at a transfer there. I think I'll stick with the attack. There is a temptation to bring out an Alvarez and put in Solanke, but I think I'm going to stick with it. And part of that is that I think a lot of people are going to be jumping off of Alvarez, and I hope that when he comes back into the goals that I might get the benefits of being loyal to him and eventually getting some big points on the board. I haven't had a lot off of him, I have to admit, but I'm hopeful. And this double up in the Palace defence, the goalkeeper and Mark Gahey, it didn't pay off last time because they conceded a goal within a minute against Everton. I'm hoping maybe this time. Like, it's risky, and Luton could easily score for sure. But like, this is what Palace are supposed to be built on. If Palace are going to be successful, it's usually on the back of clean sheets.
Yeah.
So if it pays off, I'm in. Like, this could be a good game week, but there are a few risks in this team which are leaving me a little bit apprehensive.
Yeah, okay. I mean, your squad's great. Like, to have Martinelli on the bench does feel wrong, I guess. So, yeah, I guess you don't need a transfer this week. And do you think if you didn't use a transfer, you would bench Palmer or Gordon and start Martinelli?
I'm definitely not benching Gordon.
But he plays Chelsea. They're amazing.
I just think he's in too good form to leave out. This is the thing. I'm judging all these three players on form: Palmer, Gordon, Martinelli. For me, Premier League wise, Martinelli is the one that I leave out. Like, if I was actually picking a team and as a manager, be like, right, where's the form in this team? Who am I picking? It wouldn't be Martinelli. He did score the other day, I think, for Brazil, didn't he? But
oh, did he? I saw he got 2 starts for Brazil, I think, which is you don't often see.
But yeah, as it stands, I think I'll probably leave it at that. Bozzy says you need to take some money out of Martinelli. You're too limited with no money in the bank for me. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'm contemplating right now. But I also like the idea of having the Martinelli money next game week when I can have 2 free transfers and actually make some proper fixes to the team.
Yeah,
so
great.
Right, to be honest.
I think you're right, mate. I think you're rolling 2 free transfers with this team next week looks like a really nice option.
Yeah, I think that's where I want to be.
Yeah. Aston Villa Bozzy says, get Eze maybe on pens. No, he definitely will be on pens. But the problem with Eze is it's got a really nice 3-game run. And then you're gonna go into that very tricky fixture run. So I looked at Eze at the start of the week and thought, oh, maybe I'll go there, but I don't think I will. Let's have a look at my team and I'll talk you through my dilemmas. I'm a Matoma seller, even if De Zerbi tells us he's starting tomorrow. I think I'm going to sell Matoma because I need to make a transfer. I've got 2. I could sell cash, but only if Emery tells us he's doubtful. If I sell cash, it will probably be down to a cheap defender to get more money in my attack should I want it. And someone like a Livramento might just be a set and forget for me. So I've looked at players like Maguire and Livramento, but at the moment, I want cash to become Reece James in a few weeks' time. So I want to keep cash and I want to sell Matoma to Palmer. If I could go straight Matoma to Mbeumo, I would, but I can't. So it's going to be Matoma to Palmer, I think, for me. If I did sell cash, by the way, I could go Matoma to Mbeumo. But eventually I want to go Matoma to Palmer, and then Diaby to Mbeumo next week is my loose plan. And then the week after that, Cash to James. So they're my next 3 transfers planned. But if Matty Cash was out, I will go Cash down to a cheap defender, Matoma down to Mbeumo, and use therefore my free 2 transfers. And then it means I can keep Diaby a little bit longer because at the moment I'm planning on selling Diaby ahead of Bournemouth, which doesn't really look great, doesn't feel great. But I would do that to get Mbeumo at home to Luton. So that's where I'm at in my team. At the moment, I've got the armband on Son. I think I'm going to switch it. I think I'm going to switch it to Haaland. What do you think about benching headache here? I've got Lascelles, who is actually 28% likely to keep a clean sheet against Chelsea, versus Taylor, who's only 20% likely. So there's an 8% advantage there to Lascelles. But because he's playing my club, I've currently got Taylor in the 11, but I think I might switch it.
I don't know, because what? How do they work that out? Like, what is that?
Bookies odds. Bookies odds only.
But because if West Ham, say Jared Bowen doesn't start,
then I think Taylor's got a better chance in a way.
He's got a great chance
at home as well. Burnley aren't mugs, are they?
I mean, they kind of are. They got 4 points. They're bottom of the league, but
they're a better footballing team than West Ham.
They're a better football team at times, for sure.
They might actually outplay them. And without Jared Bowen,
they will pick up a result that you're not expecting at some point. And West Ham are the type of team that are vulnerable to that because they're not consistent enough, West Ham. And at a moment when Michail Antonio's injured, when we don't know for sure that Kudus is going to be ready for this game, there's a doubt around Bowen. You have to question where West Ham's goals are going to come from in that match. And as for Newcastle keeping a clean sheet against Chelsea, I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure. I really wouldn't even want to call that game, to be honest with you. I could possibly make an argument that I expect Chelsea to go there and get something, and I'd certainly think by getting something, I mean a goal, like at the very least a goal, but possibly even a result of some sort.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Maybe it comes down to the Bowen news. Maybe if Bowen's fit, I reverse it.
Yeah,
but
maybe
if he's
that,
not, I stick with Taylor.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, Tsimikas is the right call. Like Tsimikas on the bench, I think.
Yeah, I think it has to be. Despite his 15-pointer last week, I can't play him against Man City away. Like he is 100% conceding. There's no doubt in my mind Man City score. Actually, I'm not even convinced. If Joe Gomez is fit, he might even play Joe Gomez left back. Because look, Tsimikas is fun, and in the good fixtures he'll start against Fulham and Sheffield United in 14 and 15. But maybe this week he won't. Okay, it's time for the Chaser team. We're going to need a little bit of time for this one. Guys, do get your questions in because after the Chaser team, if the Chaser team bores you a little bit, don't go anywhere because we're going to do a good 10 minutes of Q&A, right? And Dean might even take part in a bit of that and then leave us for most of that. And I'll just literally do 10 minutes quick fire answering all your questions. So stay tuned for that. But the Chaser team, many of you love it, right? So hopefully you're with us and you're committed to this team. I'm not going to tell you our current rank because I don't want to kind of put a negative twist on this team, which hasn't been doing too well. It's gone without Haaland, but it only takes a couple of weeks with a different looking team like this to shoot up the ranks. So the big question is where do we make our transfers? I guess we have to target players we want to buy. We have to use one transfer or we're going to lose it. So maybe we just use one transfer or maybe we make 2. So I think the first question might be, is this a 1 transfer week or 2 transfer week? We should ask the chat. Would you like to make 1 transfer or 2 transfers? If your answer is 2 transfers, then we will give an option on bringing players like Haaland in. But you might just go, it's a simple transfer. I want to sell Cash and go Saliba, for example. Or I'm going to sell Branthwaite and get a slightly better defender, or let's get rid of Gordon now, whatever. Yeah, I can see some good options in the chat. Freddie says, Mbeumo for Matoma. That would be a very good transfer, and there's money to do that. I like that move, Freddie.
Yeah, I think Mbeumo is definitely somebody to consider. Interested to know if people definitely want to stick by Saka. I know that people are starting to waver on him as an asset, so maybe we'll get onto that a bit later. Nick says 3, Saka, Mitoma, Alvarez to get Haaland and then see what you have left. This is the problem because to get to Haaland at 14 million when you've got 0.5 in the bank, it's quite a climb, isn't it? Like you've got to lose a lot. You've got to lose a lot here.
Yeah.
Um,
I know our producer is really keen for us to rip this team up and go big on transfers. He wants Haaland back in. But if the Chasers vote for just one move, then that's completely fair enough. So I've actually voted for one move this week. I don't know about you, Dean. I think the Matoma to Mbeumo move makes complete sense.
yeah, I think that's fine. And then what would you do? What form, would you go with a 4-4-2? Would you
Yeah.
go?
I think we'd have to drop either Gordon or Alvarez, who are two players I know you've got in your 11.
Yeah. Um,
I'd go three defenders, and then would it be Gordon
three.
or Alvarez? I think I'd start Darwin. Or I mean, you could argue Darwin could be on the bench, but I feel like Darwin's ceiling is too high.
Yeah, I'd have to play out the front three. Like, I think I'd be on Darwin ahead of the other two for sure. Alvarez would probably be the one that drops out for me.
Get voting,
Gordon,
guys. Get voting. We've only got 34 votes in. There's 300 of you watching. Hit the like button when you're voting as well.
I'm gonna have a vote.
We'll can it at 50, shall we? This one. Usually we can it at 100, but you guys are a bit slower today. Maybe you're all watching on your TV. Maybe that's why.
Maybe we're doing the ironing and watching on TV. Yeah, I reckon that's it. Maybe they're all struggling. It was Thanksgiving yesterday, mate. So it's early in the morning. A lot of them are in America. Some will have hangovers. Some will just be tired. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
I think we can call that though, can't we? Because 45 votes for 67%. So
we're not.
Should we just do a simple? Because the chat's only suggestion, and there's been loads saying it. Matoma to Mbeumo. So should we just go Matoma to Mbeumo, yes or no, and give that as an option?
I think so.
Great.
Solve everything.
We don't even need to wait for the press conferences, because if Matoma, even if you assume Matoma's fit, he's going to Nottingham Forest, which is a hard place to go. Then he goes to Chelsea. And Brighton, the spread of points there has been huge. Like, whilst they've been playing quite well, Matoma, look, he's a brilliant player and he's a good FPL asset. Of course he is. But I don't quite know if he's a great FPL asset. He's not in Mbeumo leagues at the moment. So I think even if he was fit, I'd be happy to sell him.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Let's see if that gets the nod from the Chasers. Let's get that going. Bill says Forest are tough at home. It's true, and they've still got a point to prove. Nottingham Forest, Fulham play them soon, actually, at home. But it's a game that my kids are convinced. Basically, my 5-year-old wants the 3-year-old to come to his first Fulham game soon, which seems a little bit absurd to me. Anyway, so he's trying to find a game when he's like, well, when Reece comes to his first game, I want him to make sure he comes to a game that we win. So can he come to the Nottingham Forest match? Mate, there are absolutely no guarantees Fulham beating Nottingham Forest.
There's a good chance Forest finish higher than Fulham this season.
There's a massive chance, mate. And so I was like, let's wait to see if we get in the FA Cup third round and potentially take.
Oh, that's a good one. You want a League One opposition. Get some goals.
No, I'm not sure about that, mate. I'm like League Two team.
Who are you gonna? I'm a big fan of this transfer, and thank you for FPL Freddy for picking it out straight away. Like Matoma to Mbeumo is just it's the right move this week, and it looks like we're going to do that. So the next question, I guess, is captaincy. Knowing we don't have Haaland, I want to just throw Alvarez's name in the hat for captaincy. Knowing if we're all assuming Haaland's going to get points, then there is a world in which Alvarez matches Haaland, and it has happened a few times this season. He's even outperformed him a few times this season. So I'm not saying let's captain Alvarez. I'm just saying let's put him as an option, because there are very few standout options this week. Like, I think Son for this team might be the standout option here, but should we go Son, Salah, Alvarez, and then we've got space for one more? I think we can do 4.
It's going to be Son, isn't it? I mean, I find it hard to believe it wouldn't be Son in this particular team.
Yeah.
I think if it was any other team, like Son, you could overlook like the concerns you had before about whenever we've switched to Son, he hasn't delivered. But for this team, if you're not going to have Haaland, you have to hope that in those weeks that it's Salah, Son, or Saka that delivers.
Yeah.
Saka hasn't.
Oh yeah, let's put Saka in as the 4th option then.
Yeah, Saka should be the 4th option for sure. Like, but there's just no form that suggests that Saka is captaincy material at the moment. So that's the problem with it.
Do you think he's still injured, or is it just Arsenal Arsenal are so far from looking like the team they looked like last season in attack.
Yeah, he's just not fluid, is he? He's just not got the fluidity and the confidence, perhaps, that he had at that stage when he was right among it. And I think that this is just part of the transition that Arteta's having to go through at the moment, because teams have not sussed Arsenal out, but they've certainly become more savvy to the way that they play, and that's why Arsenal's scorelines are a bit different from where they were.
The Jesus injury hasn't helped them, has it? Because I think both Saka and Martinelli are much better options when they've got their number 9 in the team. The number 9 that helps their game so much. And with Nketiah in there, I think when Nketiah plays, both Martinelli and Saka are just a little bit wider and a little bit lackluster in terms of their goal threat. So Alvarez, Son, Salah, Saka. Yeah. There you go. It's time to vote, team. Last week, we did go proper differential and got the 1 point Matoma. And the same week where Salah and Haaland both got 3 returns.
That's why Matoma's been sold, mate. That is why he's out the door.
If Son blanks this week, he'll be sold next week, won't he?
Yeah, if you blank, you get sold in this team. That's the new ethos that we live by. Nenad, Arsenal is the best team in our country.
Oh, I mean, that's strong. Have you watched Man City?
Big call.
Okay, we're going to captain Son. Let's do another poll for you guys, right? I want to know who you're captaining in your team now, and we're going to just go Haaland, Salah, Son, because I think the chasers might find this interesting, because there will be chasers out there that have gone, I've just clicked Son, but in my team I'm going Haaland. Maybe I want to know what sort of spread that is. Maybe I actually do want to go Son myself. Personally, I'm going to go Haaland, I think. The chaser team is going to go Son, which could be a really good differential. I love that pick. Well done on the chasers. So that's our chaser team this week. We just need to sort our benching out. But we'll let you guys vote on captaincy whilst Dean and I discuss our preferred bench options. Dean, out of those 8 attackers, and I include Mbeumo in that, who'd you bench?
I would bench Alvarez.
Yeah.
Alvarez. And then, do you know what? In the back line, I'm assuming you're just like Branthwaite's a sub.
I'm going to go Branthwaite and Tsimikas bench, but there is a world in which you could play Branthwaite because the fixture's arguably better than Cash and Trippier's, but Cash and Trippier have upside, don't they?
They do, but I would be tempted to start Branthwaite.
Would you? Oh, I don't think I could over those.
Couldn't you?
Well, Trippier's ceiling so high, like he could go and get 3 assists.
He definitely play him.
How suggested he is, and I think he's been pictured training.
Because he wasn't injured, was it? It was a personal problem, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's if he's clear of that, then I guess.
Okay, the chasers are all going to captain Haaland in their team. Let's do the attacking sub first. So you're saying Alvarez, I'm saying Gordon, and then should we chuck Mbeumo in as an option? Because it is a tough fixture.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so would you like to bench, and that'll be our first sub, Gordon, Alvarez, or Mbeumo? I'm loving these quick fire polls.
Yeah, they're going quite well today, aren't they? They've been
very
quite straightforward. Hazeloff says bench Gordon. He's playing against Reece James.
Guess who Aston Villa Bozzy wants to bench? Shock. Son.
He's not believing in Son for this fixture. No chance. Absolutely no chance. But sorry, mate, he's the captain of this team. Who's the vice captaincy going to?
Oh, yeah. Who got second in the vote? Let's have a look. I might be able to find it. Does it? Yeah, I think Salah was second on 29%.
Oh, okay. Fine.
So we'll vice captain Salah.
Yeah. Just in case Son doesn't play, you never know. Is Darwin having a better fixture than Alvarez, says Rob. Is Darwin having...
I mean,
we could. Think it's necessarily that, Rob. I don't think I'd say Darwin has a better fixture than Alvarez here.
More explosive, isn't he?
Yeah, it's just a case of you're getting a totally different type of player.
So we're going to poll, guys. Who would you like to bench this week? You can bench Mbeumo, Gordon, Alvarez, and let's chuck Darwin in because there's 4. We can do 4 options. So you can pick who we bench. And Dean, as much as you're right to speculate on Branthwaite, just in the interest of time. And I promised a Q&A on the hour. Let's go. Branthwaite second sub, Simicast third sub.
That's fine. Don't worry. I'm just being facetious.
You're right to question it, though. I genuinely think there's a chance there's a higher chance Everton keep a clean sheet than Aston Villa and Newcastle.
Yeah.
But I'm just going, I think the Chasers will go big on the whole. Cash and Trippier could score goals or get assists, and Branthwaite's less likely. No.
Yeah, this vote's very close between Gordon and Alvarez at the moment as to who would be benched. Alvarez slightly ahead, but
I voted Gordon.
Gordon is right up there with him. And Mbeumo and Darwin both look set for starts for the Chasers, but this is going to have to be run a little bit longer, because while Alvarez has just been ahead at all points, Gordon sometimes... he has caught him for the time being.
Where should we cap it? What number of votes should we get to? 70?
What are you on right now? I'm on
52.
Yeah, same. Let it run for another minute and we'll see. We've got 300 watching, by the way. Thanks for everyone that is tuning in. We're just running these last tests on this team, and then G's going to do a Q&A with all your questions.
Yes, stay tuned for that, guys. I'm going to do a good 10 minutes of Q&A, so don't go anywhere. And actually, you can start to get your questions in. If you're clicking to vote, it's really easy to click the like button as well, and the subscribe button, and the notify me button. And the share button.
Yeah, and you can send us some money as well if you want. All right.
The super chat button. No one's pressed the super chat button. We usually get one on a Friday.
Since we've introduced it, this is the first time we've never had a single pound come in.
Where's Cam?
Cam is actually here somewhere, but we don't. Cam, please do not feel like you have to send us any more money. You've got a child now. Please just keep your family fed.
I think we can. We're 38% Gordon now, so I think we can call it.
Wow.
Let's call it on Gordon. So we're going to have Gordon first sub. Guys, thank you very much for that one. Let's take the Chaser team off and say goodbye to Dean, and then I will give a good 10 minutes of chat on the Q&A. And I want to answer some questions here. And I promise you, I'm going to go so quick fire that I reckon your question will be answered. There's a very good chance of that. Dean, what are your plans this weekend, mate?
All right, I'm going to go right now, and I'm going to record an episode of Ranks FC. So if you want a podcast to listen to over this weekend, please do listen to Ranks FC. We've got a couple up this week. I don't go to Fulham until Monday, because Fulham play against Wolves on Monday night. So I've got kind of a football-free weekend. And it turns out that because of that, we're putting up a Christmas tree on Saturday.
Oh, of course, it's Christmas tree season, isn't it?
It's Christmas tree season, and we have nothing to do. So my wife's like, maybe we should just spend the day giving them something to do, and they could put ornaments on the tree, and then we redo it after they go to bed. Okay, that sounds like a reasonable idea. So I think it'll be pizza delivered and Christmas decorations.
Excellent. Yeah. I got the Christmas tree decorations out the other day. The tree's up, but no decorations are on yet. I gave Gaia a bauble. And I stupidly, most of ours are plastic, but a few of them are glass. I gave her the glass one, and my wife was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "It'll be fine." She dropped it within seconds, and it shattered everywhere.
Mate, I've had exactly that. I'm glad you've reminded me now, because that would have happened tomorrow. So I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen tomorrow.
Yeah. Wicked. All right, mate. Well, we'll be back on Monday. Well, we probably won't be back. We might even do a...
I won't be here Monday, so we won't do...
Might do a Tuesday. Might do a Tuesday, then we can react to the Fulham game as well.
Yeah, we'll round it all up on Tuesday, yeah.
Wicked. All right, then, mate. Well, I'll see you on Tuesday. And guys, stay tuned. We'll say bye to Dean now. See you later, mate.
Cheers, all.
And I'm staying with you for a quick 10 minutes of Q&A. So whichever questions come onto my screen, which the producer will be selecting the best ones. We can't promise to answer every question, but the ones that are certainly shorter and easier for me to handle in a quick fire manner will make it on screen, and I will give you my 2 pence worth. Thank you, Yun. Cash to Saliba or a Dingra to Eze? If Cash is fit, I'd keep him. I'd go Eze in. Matthew, hi from Atlanta. Come on, Atlanta, Georgia. Bench Maguire or Cash? Maguire. Go for the upside. Zubin, thoughts on Semenyo over Archer? Yeah. Semenyo isn't a 90-minute man, though. Spend the extra and get Chris Wood. 4.9. Thoughts on Watkins as a differential? Yeah, I mean, he's not really a differential anymore. Watkins is a very good shout, though. I think for 10 minutes of this, I'm going to struggle, but let's give it a go. I'm going proper quickfire, aren't I? Michael, and Ketia to Wood and play. We've got a super chat. Come on. Michael, first and foremost. Sorry. Where was Michael's question? Super chats are important though, so we could always do that first. I'm easy. Nketiah to Wood and play. So Nketiah to Wood and play over Palmer. Okay, we still don't know Wood's a starter, but yeah. Or carry the free transfer and play Palmer. Carry the free transfer and check that Wood is a starter. Ryan, thank you so much for a super chat. This one will be a little bit less than quick fire. This will be medium fire. 2 free transfers, Ryan, like many of us. Maybe you're a game week 10 wildcarder. Used one already. You moved to Mbeumo, fine. You beat a price rise. Good play. Still have Bruno, though. Want to move him out to Palmer. Should I or roll? Nah. Keep Bruno. Keep Bruno this week. You can always go Palmer next week. Yeah. You got Salah, Sakason. No, keep Bruno. Like, he does play Everton. Like, I think Everton could win that football match, but Bruno's a very nice differential option this week. And then you can go Palmer next week, who's got Brighton at home. This week for Palmer, whilst I'm buying him, Newcastle away is a really tricky game. The 3 hardest places to go away from home, based on last season: Man City, Arsenal, Newcastle. So we're looking at Chelsea's, from the 38 fixtures, we're looking at one of the 3 most difficult fixtures they have in the calendar, based on last season's numbers. So Palmer's no gimme this week. Thanks, Ryan. I really appreciate that, mate. John is in. John David. Sell Martinelli. Guys, don't go anywhere for the next 5 minutes, by the way. Sell Martinelli this week or no? Decision would be stabilise the defence. I think keep him another week. See what you think with that Arsenal offence, because Jesus is back. Jesus back does massively help Martinelli. Gucci, my boy from Australia. Gucci is one of my members on my chat daily. Gucci, I definitely have not sent a video this morning, which I meant to. Darwin, Watkins, and Isak. A no Haaland draft. Who have you gone for, Gucci? I haven't answered your question yet. There we go. Darwin, Watkins, and Isak. The no Haaland draft is your front 3. Thinking he might captain Isak. Gucci loves a differential captain. But Isak against Chelsea. We don't even know he's going to start. He should start. Don't do it. Don't do it. Jermaine says Matoma to Kudos or Bernardo Silva. Kudos could be loads of fun. Bernardo will miss lots of minutes. Jermaine says, oh, sorry, that was Jermaine. Mods, I'm going to captain Eze or Diaby. Who would you choose? I'll do the opposite. Well, in that case, I'm going to tell you I would choose Diaby. Or would I? If you're going to do the opposite, I'm suggesting you might want to captain the other one. But whatever. Bench Louise, Palmer, or Darwin. Ooh. I like that you own Louise. He looked great for Colombia, didn't he? I think I'd bench Palmer? Maybe? Palmer, I think, just. Or Darwin. I definitely want to play Diaz, I think. There's a good chance Diaz is benched, actually. No, what am I saying? Bench Diaz. I think Jota will start on the left. When I think about that, I think Jota will start on the left and Diaz will be a great pick over the winter period. Lungani, start Reguilon or Branthwaite. Reguilon, there's a good chance he doesn't start. He could come on for a one-pointer. Narain says, Bowen, question mark. Well, is that a will Bowen start? Will David Moyes tell us the answer? So far, when I look at the press conferences, he still hasn't spoken. So we need to wait on David Moyes, I'm afraid, guys. If he's fit, then clearly Bowen's up there. Like, Bowen's up there with Mbeumo in terms of must buy this week. For me, I'm going Mbeumo, but many prefer Bowen over Mbeumo. There's very little in it. Thanks, Zubing. Really good question. Mbeumo this week or Eze? That's a dilemma I had. If you can afford the transfers, go Eze. If you can't, and you definitely want to keep holding transfers like me, go Mbeumo. Omar says, guys, are you hitting the like button? Did you do that? You know what I said, you're all voting in the polls. Some of you did. Thanks, guys. Greetings from Egypt. Cash to Ward, Archer to Wood. Keep Bowen on the bench for now. Cool. Ward. Palace have got 3 good games, I guess. There's no upside there with Ward, though. I'd keep Cash. Edward or Wood? Edward's probably, if money's not an issue, Edward. But you save, what, 0.7, 0.8 if you go Wood. So for value, maybe Wood. But if money's not an issue. FPL Rui's been watching since The first minute of this stream over an hour ago. Thanks, FPL Rui, for staying with us. Archer or Palmer to start? Palmer all day long for me. He's on penalties, and Chelsea are a better team than Sheffield United. Yeah, maybe. Maybe, Tiffany. Like, Branthwaite is a really good 4 million option. There's no doubt about it. Branthwaite's a great option. Guys, we'll do a couple more questions. Thank you so much for getting them in. I think we might have even run out of questions. So maybe we'll call it. Guys, that was awesome. That was loads of fun. Thank you so much for asking so many. If you want to do more questions and get some reaction to the press conferences, I have just had a cancellation in my diary. So what I'm going to do is at 2 o'clock today, which is about an hour's time, on my channel, I'm going to do a reaction to the press conferences and a Jared Bowen update and my thoughts over my transfers too. So look, if you fancy joining that, obviously if you've just tuned into Chasing Green Arrows, you've got an hour till I go live again. So go back and watch the last hour. Me and Dean have given you everything you probably need to know this game week. But if you do want more, at 2 o'clock on my channel, and to find my channel, it's not Chasing Green Arrows. Of course, you're all subscribed to this. You just need to type my name into YouTube and subscribe to my channel too. And you'll see I'll put up at 2 o'clock that I'll do a live vid. So stay tuned for that one. But for now, guys, Dean and I will be back on Tuesday. You've been the Chasers. He's been Dean and he's gone early. I've been Gianni. I'll be with you in an hour on my channel. Thank you for supporting Chasing Green Arrows as always. I'll see you very soon. May your arrows be green.